Today, a recap of Jay Inslee's visit to Pullman to discuss his presidential campaign on climate change.
And Highway 26 may see an expansion earlier than expected.
And the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport plans to renovate their runway, coming up on Murrow News 8.
From the Northwest Public Broadcasting Studios on the campus of Washington State University, this is Murrow News 8.
Good evening, I'm Ryan Peerboom.
And I'm Lou Santos. Welcome to Murrow News 8.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee spoke at WSU on Wednesday. The presidential hopeful was hosted by the Foley Institute and mainly spoke about climate change and the importance of transitioning toward clean, carbon-free energy. Inslee used the Paradise, California wildfires as an example of life-altering consequences caused by carbon dioxide pollution.
Inslee mentioned how the state of Washington is already increasing its reliance on clean energy by building wind turbines around the state. Inslee said it's important to make changes because, quote, the path of inaction is too expensive, unquote.
And Jay Inslee showed great support throughout the community. Murrow News 8 reporter Zach Anders has more.
This week, Washington Governor Jay Inslee stopped in Pullman to talk climate change on campus. The presidential hopeful first met with student leaders who won the governor's voter registration challenge in the last election cycle. Governor Inslee commended the students for their work gaining hundreds of new registered student voters, outperforming similar efforts at the University of Washington, Western Washington University, and other state schools. Next, it was on to the Bryan Hall Auditorium, where Governor Inslee spoke for close to an hour on climate change and green energy initiatives in Washington state. Before he took the stage, we talked clean energy.
And I believe we can ignite the country around this mission statement of creating a clean energy economy. We're doing it in the Palouse, where I saw wind turbines coming down here. We've just done the biggest solar farm near Lind. The Palouse is a center of clean energy, and they're doing research here at Washington State University. So I'm proud to be associated with a great college that's doing great work on clean energy.
Inslee continued his climate change message with a talk hosted by the Foley Institute. Inslee is the first presidential candidate to visit Pullman since John F. Kennedy in 1960. Inslee was the first to point out, though, that he was more there as governor and not on an official campaign stop. His short visit ended with a few questions from the audience before he left to return to Olympia. Zach Anders, Murrow News 8.
Melissa Block with the Edward R. Murrow Lifetime Achievement Award on Wednesday during the Murrow Symposium. Block is a 30-year news journalist and is most notable for hosting NPR's All Things Considered. The symposium is an annual lecture hosted by WSU's Edward R. Murrow College of Communication. The addition of 2 road passing lanes on State Route 26 between Colfax and Dusty may happen as early as next year. Pullman Mayor Glenn Johnson says making SR 26 safer is a top priority. Johnson says about 70% of WSU students come from Western Washington, and he pushed for the passing lanes to be completed sooner than 2025. A $20 million proposal was approved by the Senate and is waiting for the vote from the House. Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport will close down for almost a month next fall for renovations. Brady Frederick met with Tony Bean, the airport executive director, to see what they're working on.
Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport is undergoing a $142.5 million renovation. The primary focus is to realign the runway to comply with new FAA standards.
The runway and taxiway are too close to each other. They're 200 feet apart. They're too close together for this size of airplane. The FAA solution was really simple. Fix your airport and we'll help you fix it or lose your air service.
Currently, Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport only supports smaller aircraft, such as the 76-seater Bombardier Q400. Once the renovations to the runway are complete, it'll be able to support Class 3 aircraft, such as the Airbus, holding between 1 and 200 passengers.
Bean says that Airbuses, like the Boeing 737, will only be used to transport athletic teams, because the demand for flights to Pullman-Moscow Regional does not call for larger planes. However, the airport is looking to expand their destinations beyond SeaTac into new eastern airport hubs, such as Denver and Minneapolis. Additionally, $2 to $3 million of the renovation goes towards implementing new instrument landing systems.
The instrument landing system allows that pilot to be able to see 1,800 feet point to point, which is a quarter mile and 200 feet. And they can land. If they can see a light, they can continue. So it's a significant change.
In 2020, the airport also plans to build a new terminal. The current one is 5 times too small and lacks the necessary parking for travelers. Instead of tearing it down, they plan to reutilize it.
It would be a great airport facility for customs or some other use.
To finish the realignment project, the airport will close down from September 8th through October 3rd. Brady Frederick, Murrow News 8.
The Pullman City Council and Whitman County Commissioners met on Tuesday evening to figure out the future of the Whitman County District Court. The groups agreed to figure out the cost to keep the district court in the current City Hall building, as it would be simpler and more cost-effective than attempting to fit the courtroom into the plans for the new City Hall building. The next location of the district court will be decided by July 1st. The Pullman Regional Hospital Board of Commissioners have put on a bond on this month's ballot that it might affect your home's property tax. Noah Schmick tells us more about how the hospital bond could affect the Pullman community.
Pullman voters will consider a $29 million hospital expansion bond when ballots are sent out this Friday. The Pullman Regional Hospital Board of Commissioners approved the ballot measure in February and met for the last time on Wednesday night to hear any questions from the public before the bond will be voted on this month. CEO Scott Adams says the bond will include a 45,000 square foot healthcare pavilion and will fund a community-wide electronic medical record that connects medical offices and hospitals in Washington State.
Students especially and their families know that they've got access to that information here in Pullman as well as back home, where their child and their family care has been provided.
President of the Board of Commissioners Tricia Grantham says that it not only helps students and parents, but it also helps the doctors who are working on their patients.
The practitioners, all the providers are excited about it. They see the value in the coordination of care.
Through 30 community presentations on the bond's goals, the board listened to public opinions and realized that many people had many questions about the hospital itself.
Some people did not realize we were a public hospital. So the education, that has occurred as a result of this has been great. And we've been able to listen to the community.
The proposed tax increase from the bond will be about $1 per $1,000 of property value for Pullman residents. Residents will have until April 23rd to cast their ballots on whether or not they accept the bond and its tax increase. Noah Schmick, Murrow News 8.
National Crime Victims' Rights Week starts April 7th and runs through the 13th. The Pullman Police Department is raising awareness about crime victims' issues and rights by introducing the community to the important resources and services available. The groups include Alternatives to Violence on the Palouse, the Crime Victim Service Center of Washington Region 8, the Office for Victims of Crime, and the Whitman County Prosecutor.
Rennie Park held a unique event over the weekend, coloring people from head to toe. Noah Schmick went down to find out what the hype was all about.
Pullman residents showed out for a festival of colors at Rennie Park on March 31st, celebrating an ancient Hindu festival. The Indian Student Association at Washington State celebrated the arrival of spring, the end of winter, and the beginning of a good spring harvest season according to the Hindu tradition. The communication chair for the Indian Student Association, Vishnu Allure, says the ancient tradition celebrates an ancient love and an end to an evil monster.
It signifies two things. First, for the Lord Rama killing Holika, a monster, and then it also signifies the love between Lord Sri Krishna and Radha. And we are here in a really good day, just start of the spring, and you can see our event is just getting started. So we are starting with a quick snack. That's how we do in India.
People danced, threw colored powder everywhere, and sprayed squirt guns on unsuspecting celebrators. Although it takes 20+ hours to get to the capital of India from Pullman, Washington, people here in Rennie Park celebrated as if they weren't thousands of miles away.
Now there are like music, everyone is dancing, like this is the same way, like not the same way, but yeah, we do celebrate this in India too.
Every year, the Holi Festival takes place around the world, celebrating an almost 2,000-year-old tradition. To finish off this festival of colors in Pullman, a giant Indian feast took place to end the celebrations in hopes for a successful spring harvest season. With videographer Alex Dulesky, Noah Schmick, Murrow News 8.
WSU will hold its first Unified Sports Day this Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. at Smith Gym. Unified Sports encourages those with or without intellectual disabilities to play alongside each other. There will be several activities including a soccer game, team relays, and dive and dunk. The event will be free, and those who want to volunteer can contact Corey McGrath at cmcgrath@wsu.edu or at 509-335-8832. Interested in pursuing your own business one day? Boot camps around the Palouse help entrepreneurs build their businesses from the ground up. Murrow News 8 reporter Lindsay Jensen has more on how some local businesses sprouted from their support.
You may have heard of the Airway Hills Golf Center on the Palouse, but do you know what started it all? The annual Be the Entrepreneur boot camp right here in Pullman. Trent Getz, the owner of the golfing range, bought land then transformed it into a driving range back in 2005. He went to this boot camp looking to build upon his dream business.
So he came to a Be the Entrepreneur boot camp in 2016, I think, and basically pitched the idea of like, what is the market lacking? What is the Palouse lacking as it relates to like entertainment and hospitality? And what we don't have is like an indoor golfing and entertainment facility.
Getz soon built a new indoor golfing simulation available throughout the year and new space for larger events. He said staying in contact with the leaders of the boot camp helped shape his business into what it is today.
I have always told them I'll do whatever I can for the boot camp, so they in turn have supported us, you know, as far as, hey, you got to think about talking to this guy or you got to do that. And I think that's one of the greatest things you get out of the boot camp is the contacts.
He said he loves to come back to be a presentation judge and meet the new up-and-coming entrepreneurs.
Just being around other entrepreneurs who have been successful is inspiring and encouraging.
There are 2 more sessions to help upcoming entrepreneurs implement and launch their business idea. Register today with the Palouse Corridor.
Yeah, I will be a supporter of the boot camp forever.
Lindsay Jensen, Murrow News 8.
5 WSU students opened a bubble tea and Chinese restaurant in Pullman this year. Kayla Bautista explains what motivated them to bring the restaurant to the Palouse.
Authentic bubble tea and Chinese food is what motivated 5 WSU students to open a new restaurant in Pullman.
We're not just authentic, we're more like real. So that's why we choose the name Reality.
Fayan says Reality uses actual tea leaves and real milk instead of powdered milk to make their bubble tea.
We homemade our boba, our sea salt cream. Basically everything that we can homemade, we do that.
Fayan says the restaurant's authenticity is what she believes sets Reality apart from other Chinese restaurants.
It's not something that we just buy it from other people and sell it to you guys. It's more like we are using our full hearts to making those foods to deliver service to you guys.
I asked Popos, who also sells bubble tea and Chinese food, if their products were authentic, and they said, quote, "We do not disclose this information to the public, but they are handcrafted," end quote. On top of opening the restaurant, Fayan and her business partners are also full-time students. Fayan recalls staying up until 5 in the morning during their opening process.
If you choose to do something, then no matter what it takes, you have to do it.
Smoothies are being added to the menu this week, and Fayan says they are in the process of adding more items to the menu. Kayla Bautista, Murrow News 8.
Coming up, WSU baseball ends their 12-game losing streak.
And Justin Spinney talks to us about the WSU Pro Day when Murrow News 8 returns.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No?
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, what I've always wanted to be.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
NFL scouts from 28 different teams flocked to Pullman to witness WSU's senior talent as they prepare to enter the draft. Scouts paid most attention to offensive tackle Andre Dillard and quarterback Gardner Minshew II. Fans can expect Dillard to be a top 15 pick in the draft and Minshew to fall anywhere between the 3rd and 7th round. Linebacker Logan Tago impressed analysts yesterday with his explosiveness. The draft takes place April 25th through April 27th in Nashville, Tennessee. WSU baseball ended a 12-game losing streak with a 12-10 victory over Gonzaga. They hope to keep the offense rolling as they face Cal for a 3-game series starting tonight. The 7-20 Cougs look to earn their first conference win over the weekend. Hopefully they can get that. The women's NCAA Final Four takes place today as Oregon takes on Baylor and UConn plays Notre Dame. This Final Four appearance makes it 12 in a row for the UConn ladies, but they face a tough challenger in Notre Dame, the team that beat them in the championship last year. Pac-12 hopes rest on Oregon as they face Baylor and their talented inside players. And the men's Final Four games take place tomorrow with Auburn playing Virginia and Texas Tech taking on Michigan State. Virginia, the only remaining 1 seed, hopes to avoid another upset in what has been a wild tournament full of upsets. As usual, there are no perfect brackets, and only 0.02% of people who filled out brackets predicted the Final Four correctly. And coming up, new fees that could affect University of Idaho students. Stay tuned.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning. 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash, 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. We now go to Noah Schmick with our weather report. What can we expect this weekend, Noah?
Well, this weekend is going to be a complete 180 from last weekend's weather. Obviously, last weekend we saw the dry air, the sun came out, the hot temperatures. I even got a sunburn on the back of my neck for the baseball game, WSU Stanford, on Sunday. That was not too awesome. But This weekend, like I said, a complete 180. We got rain, cold temperatures, a lot of humidity, completely different. As we look towards today's forecast, 58 degrees your high, 43 degrees your low. We could see some rain in the forecast here towards the afternoon hours of the day. But as we look towards tomorrow's forecast, 54 degrees the high, 41 degrees your low, and that's perfect because the rain is going to come towards the noon-ish hours and the afternoon-ish hours when the Final Four for the men's takes place. So that could be a good thing if you want to stay inside away from the rain that comes. As we look towards your state map, over here towards the coast of Seattle and stuff is going to be a lot colder temperatures, 55 degrees in Seattle and Olympia. We look towards central Washington over the Cascades, 59 degrees in Yakima to a 65 degrees over in the Tri-Cities, a little bit warmer. But then as we look over here towards Spokane, the inland northwest, and the Palouse, 60 degrees to a 58 degrees from Spokane to Pullman. Not ranging a whole lot. The theme stays consistent that there's going to be rain pretty much all day today. As we look towards the 5-day forecast for you, mid 50 degree temperatures as we go through the 5-day forecast. It's going to be rain, chances of rain, scattered rain throughout the 5-day forecast. So you're going to want to take out that rain jacket and make sure you got that around you. So we're going to go ahead and send it right back over to Ryan.
Thanks, Noah. The Idaho State Board of Education is yet to make a decision on who will take over as the University of Idaho's new president. Education officials had expected to introduce the new president before the end of March. Board spokesman Mike Keckler is making no guarantees, but is hopeful a candidate will be selected by the end of this week. Parking permit fees could increase on the University of Idaho campus starting this summer. University officials recommend 10 changes to the campus parking and transportation system. Along with the permit fee increase, the proposal also includes reversing the direction of 4 one-way streets. The streets affected by the changes include University and Idaho Avenues, as well as Ash and Elm Streets.
On Thursday, the Idaho State Board of Education voted unanimously to allow University of Idaho to begin the bidding and the construction phase of their projected $46 million project. Student fees cover $18 million of the cost. U of I tuition is set to increase $30 per semester. The university will use the new stadium to host Vandal basketball games, regional tournaments, lectures, and concerts.
For the first time since its founding, Moscow's Hempfest has a different venue. The 23rd Moscow Hempfest takes place at the Latah County Fairgrounds instead of East City Park, its traditional location. The decision came in response to late-year snow weakening the soil. Assistant Moscow Parks and Recreation Director David Scott says the event, coupled with the rain forecast, would likely cause extensive damage to the park. The event runs from 10 to 7. It features vendors, live music, speakers, food, and arts and crafts. When we return, Trump threatens tariffs on cars entering the U.S. from Mexico.
And Western Washington sees the first wolf pack in decades.
When Murrow News 8 returns.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. every day across America. Excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. A study published in Nature Sustainability says that single crop corn production is polluting the air. The study says that corn production is responsible for around 4,300 air pollution related deaths every year. The biggest factor to the pollution was contributed to ammonia used in fertilizer. The United States is the largest producer of corn in the world, yet it is rarely associated with air pollution.
Western Washington had its first wolf pack sighting in decades. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife said that biologists documented the pack living in Skagit County. The appearance of the pack indicates that wolf recovery is on track. There are 27 packs in Washington as of last month. On Thursday, President Trump threatened to impose a tariff on cars coming into the U.S. from Mexico. This comes after Trump's threat last Friday to immediately close the southern border. Trump warns that the Mexican government needs to do more to stop illegal immigration and drug trade in the U.S. After concerns that the tariffs may interfere with the trade, Trump's trade deal, Trump says the border is more important to him than the USMCA.
When we return, find out why state parks will be free to visit on certain days this month. When Murrow News 8 returns.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
I'm one unlucky guy. The chance of being involved in a robbery is 1 in 757. The chances of being struck by lightning, 1 in 750,000.
Please fasten your seatbelts for unexpected turbulence.
The chances of being a victim in an airline crash, 1 in 29 million. Hey, could I get some peanuts? The chances of being involved in a car crash are far greater than lightning strikes and plane crashes. And if you are texting while driving, your risk of crash increases 23 times. Now, I may be an unlucky guy, but I don't have to be part of that statistic, and neither do you. Drive responsibly.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Murrow News 8. According to a news release, the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission is offering the public 2 free days. Thank you so much for watching Murrow News 8.
Make sure to follow us on social media and find us at nwpb.org.
Have a great day, Pullman.